네. All right, let's get started. I'll just do English. 영어로만 할게요. 죄송합니다. 한국어를 bilingual. I was doing bilingual, and then like I just figured like we should just do English.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't know Korean.
Yes, fair enough. So Uma, I met her in San Francisco just like a month ago, literally, and we had like a great connection. Like, okay, I should bring her to Korea. And so I invited the entire team over. Really great to have her here. She's super smart, like very insightful. So really glad to have her at SheFi Summit as well to start off the week. And thank you for coming to Korea.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Do you want to do a short intro of yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Uma. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Succinct. We're a company building in the zk space and primarily based in San Francisco in America, although we do have a few really awesome devs from South Korea who actually, some of them moved there and you met them in the office when you visited, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, I guess we'll be diving into more of just about like the company and also like what we're building in more depth.
Yeah, no, I met the Korean devs in San Francisco, really cool. And they, lived here and they are from here, and it's really great to see the bridge there. And they're also organizing a few stuff for Succinct here as well. Super cool. So you have some really good connections in Korea already. That's really great. Any first impressions on Korea so far?
The
First time,
cherry,
right?
yeah, it
First time,
is.
yeah.
The cherry blossoms, I think, are really, really beautiful. I didn't realize that you guys had them here.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like Japan, Sakura, right? And outside the campus, it's all over. So you should.
Yeah, this campus was really beautiful. When I came, I was like, oh wow, it's like really well done.
Yeah, there's a lot of alumni here in the building. Who's 이화 alumni 누구죠? I'm an alumni too. So we're all alumni. Many alumni here, and this is a very symbolic hall as well. So yeah, it's very meaningful to the 이화ians as well.
Oh, very cool. I didn't realize you went here.
Yeah, I did master's at Stanford and then like bachelor's here.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So good memories here. Why don't you, let's explain more about what Succinct does. You built SP1, and can you, let's go to the basics. What is SP1? How is it like, performant, high performant, and just kind of explain a bit, run through what you've been building.
Yeah, so maybe we can start by talking about like zk.
Yeah,
zk generally and why it's important. Maybe a lot of you guys have heard about zk briefly. As you know, today like blockchains are pretty slow and not that scalable, and that's because they're decentralized, so that inherently comes with some overhead. And zk is this cryptographic primitive that helps solve that problem, because basically you can generate these cryptographic proofs that a computation happened, and then instead of everyone in the world having to redo the computation in a decentralized system, you can just verify a proof, and it makes everything much more efficient and scalable. So especially in Ethereum world, there's a lot of focus on zk as part of scaling, and that's become pretty consensus. Like, I think everyone thinks zk will be in the end game. Zk is how Ethereum's going to scale. zk has become a critical part of the Ethereum roadmap. But so far, like for the past few years, zk has been really difficult because it's a very advanced field of cryptography. Maybe there's like 100 people in the world that can actually use it. And with what we built at Succinct, zk virtual machine, zkVM for short, you can just write normal code and then use zk with it. So basically it makes zk really easy, which was kind of this huge breakthrough. zk goes from being something that like 100 people in the world can do to like millions of people because it's just normal code. And it makes it fast and cheap and easy. And so now like all chains and all rollups and all parts of the Ethereum roadmap that need to be zk can be done with Succinct and SP1 or zkVM.
Yeah, and originally we focused on building zk bridges. How did you make the transition? What was the incentive there?
Yeah, so when we started the company, actually, we weren't building a zkVM. We were actually building a specific application of zk, known as zk bridging. And the reason we actually ended up building a zkVM is from our first applications, we realized zk was so difficult, and that's why it would never work if all the other developers in the world had to like encounter the same difficulties we did. So in some ways, like our own zk application gave us a problem and then inspired us to build a solution, which is SP1. And I think something that's really awesome is our whole team, especially the people who were there in the early days, feel kind of like an emotional connection to our zkVM because it solves a lot of the problems. So like stuff that used to take our team 3 months and 5 engineers, now like our intern can do in 1 week or even sometimes a few hours. And so that's why our team is like really inspired to solve this problem because like it used to be our own problem.
Actually, when we were in San Francisco, I remember there was a competition. There was a gaming. What was the name of the competition? There was like an internal competition or something like that. People were doing gaming on SP1.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that? It was really interesting. Like maybe it's like can tell us how easy it is to build with SP1. No.
Yeah. So when we started building in zk, it was like almost unthinkable to build, a roll-up or any sort of application with zk. It would take many, many months, many, many engineers, and it was very complicated. And so at the time, you had these whole companies devoted to building zk rollups, like zk Sync and Polygon and all these other Starkware, all these other names you've heard of. And with SP1, because you can just write normal code and zk prove it, for example, what Erica's referring to is like you can take video games that are written in normal code and prove them in SP1 and make them provable or verifiable video games. So now you can have like a roll-up or like some sort of chain that has video games that are provable on it that's much more efficient. And actually like our testnet takes these concepts and like has some provable video games like Flappy Bird and stuff like that. They kind of show how with our tech, zk has become like 100x more accessible. So yeah, the whole point of our testnet and like some of the other applications we've built is to show finally like zk is so general you can prove anything with it.
Nice. FYI, there was a talk on zk by Irene from Zangle in Korean. And so she also referred to Succinct as well.
Very
so
cool.
yes, she's like raving over there. So people who are interested in zk could also refer to the Korean report written by Irene as well. But yeah, really, she gave a good shout out to Succinct. And so yeah, very cool what you do. And it's your first startup journey. Is this your first? Yeah. Let's kind of go back because like SheFi is more about like also founders, like the founder journey, what it was like. So before, like, what was your background before, like, you started at MIT? Can you also talk about like your major, your journey leading up to founding Succinct?
Yeah, so I went to MIT, which is a school in Boston, on the East Coast of America. And it's an engineering school, so I studied math and also computer science. I actually have a double major. And I'd always liked doing math, like even growing up, I'd been to like some math camps and stuff like that. I'm not sure how popular that is over here or common. It's not that common in America, honestly. Like I was like very into math and like kind of a nerd growing up as well. And yeah, after MIT, my math and CS background led me to do machine learning stuff. So I was at Google Brain doing machine learning research, and in particular doing NLP, which is kind of like large language model, GPT-4 style stuff before that became really popular. So yeah, I did a lot of machine learning, but then on the side, I'd always really liked crypto. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was very fun. And a friend from MIT who was really into zero knowledge proofs told me about it. So then I started reading about it on the internet and just learning more. And yeah, kind of went down the rabbit hole.
I mean, MIT has a pretty big crypto community, right? Like the Media Lab, no?
Yeah, I think it like goes in phases with also like the crypto markets. But yeah, there's the MIT Bitcoin Club, and there was a big experiment, I think in 2015 or 2016, where they gave everyone at MIT, like the senior class, $600 worth of Bitcoin at the time, and then at some point it became worth like $30,000 or $60,000. And so yeah, there were people at MIT who were like mining in their dorm rooms or like into crypto because it's just like a very technical school and like people are always interested in frontier tech.
Yeah, and when you enter crypto, what led you to found Succinct and also dive into zk?
Yeah, so my friend who had told me about zk, he had been working at the Ethereum Foundation. on ZK, and so I just thought it was really interesting. I thought the math was very cool, and so I just like read a lot about it on various blogs, and it was very interesting, and um, so I was just curious. And then I learned more about how ZK like solves a very important problem, how it's still like very underdeveloped at the time when we started Succinct like almost 3 years ago. And so we just started playing around. I met my co-founder. We started playing around. We saw this really big problem to solve, and then we decided to like go solve it.
Nice. And right now, what is the team like? Development phase at? I mean, how big is the team? Like, how are you hiring people, or just like, yeah, raising whatever? Just like curious.
Yeah, the team is like 26 or 27. So yeah, definitely grown a lot, especially over like the past year. I would say the product is like working. There's people that use it. It's like used on several main nets. We have several chains that use it, like ZK and SP1 and our protocol. So the product is built out. We're always obviously trying to make it like faster and better and more efficient, but like it is actually getting used already, which is pretty awesome. And it's nice to have this like feedback loop where customers use it. They can tell us how to improve it. Once we improve it, more customers can use it, and you have this like nice cycle. So the team now, like, there's a lot of people who are working on optimizing our zkVM. There's also people who are focused on building our protocol. So that's the Succinct network, where basically we make it easy for people to generate proofs, and then we make it easy for anyone across the world to like set up their own GPUs or provers and then generate proofs and get paid for that. So it kind of looks like Bitcoin mining, I guess, and the network connects the users and the provers. So that's the main thing we're working on. In terms of hiring, I think hiring is definitely always the most important part of a company, because ultimately like the people are the people who end up building the product and setting the roadmap and stuff like that. So hiring's a really big part of my time and focus.
Yeah. Are you focused on like hiring devs more, or just like in general marketing?
Always devs are super important because they're the people who build our product, which is super technical. But we're also hiring for like other non-technical roles too. Like recently we went through hiring like a marketing person and also a few BD people to like actually help other people use the tech. But yeah, I think one thing that I really love about crypto is talent is super global. So for example, like our auditor, he's actually from Korea, and I think he's one of the best people in the world at auditing ZK stuff. And yeah, we kind of found him because he worked at this Korean auditing firm, and he worked with some of our friends, and the ZK community is small. We found him. We realized he was a total genius. And then, yeah, we ended up bringing him over to SF to work with the rest of the team in person. So I think crypto for me is really inspiring because it shows like talent super global. There's no barriers or gatekeeping. Like you can just be a smart person, learn stuff on the internet, and then like help contribute, which is like very cool. And I think kind of unique to our industry.
That's true. But you also work like really locally in the SF office, which is really cool too. I think we would kind of miss that, and like everyone's working remotely in crypto. That it's really hard to like focus. But like for your company, it's like everyone's at the office, really heads down. So that was really impressive.
Yeah, I think one thing that's kind of unique about our company, especially in crypto, is that we are actually mostly located in person. We work in person. We have an office in San Francisco, and probably 90% plus of the team is in person. And even when we find like global talent, which there is a lot of them, we like try to move them in person. So and sometimes like for the most part that's worked out really well. So yeah, we decided to make that kind of contrarian decision because working in person, for me at least, is very fun. It's very energizing. I think it's a lot more efficient because you don't have to worry about time zones. You can just like communicate live. So I think that's been kind of like a secret to our success in many ways.
Also, like maybe it's like this is SheFi, being a female co-founder, right? Has there been any like challenges on the way from your personal perspective, and if so, what was it, and how did you overcome it? And yeah, just curious.
Yeah, there's definitely not that many female founders in crypto, or just females in general. I think it's a very like male-dominated space. I think for me, honestly, I've been pretty lucky. Like, I think I've been able to make a lot of friends, and I don't think it's been like a huge deal in many ways. I think I've also been lucky because throughout my life I've been really into math, which anyways was like often pretty male dominated, so I'm kind of used to that. But I can see how for some people like it might be a little strange. But for me, I was mostly used to it. So it wasn't like a really big deal. I think sometimes actually like my age or both my co-founder and I are younger, and sometimes like cryptography people have like PhDs or are on the older side. So I think sometimes like people are surprised that we're able to like do the cryptography stuff we do. So that's been more of, but honestly, like once people like look at the code or talk to me or talk to like other people on our team, they realize like, oh, Succinct's a very legitimate project. They're building like very legitimate tech. So often I think the biases like go away after they just like look at the code or like talk and have like an in-person conversation. And most people in crypto, I think, are also very like accepting. And very open-minded because like talent is so global. Even like when Vitalik made Ethereum, he was so young and he was just like a random person as well. And so yeah, I think crypto is actually very meritocratic in many ways, which is really awesome.
That's true. I mean, because a lot of the Korean women, like it's a very limiting like background in general. It's like very conservative society. A lot of the expectations very different, you know, like from male to women. So that's why we were just asking the question to the Korean women listening out there. But I think it's really global. I think crypto definitely has many opportunities if you really seek for it. And you know, as a founder, what do you know? Any advice to women who want to jump on the global bandwagon, and as a founder or as a
Yeah, I think one awesome thing about crypto is so much of the code is open source. So many of the ideas are open, and really like you can just learn so much by like reading code on GitHub and like reading articles and blogs on the internet. And like that's how me and my co-founder learned about zk. And I think that's very unique to crypto where open source is so important and like core to the industry. For example, if you wanted to know the latest state of the art in AI, that's not really possible. Today, like you'd have to go work at one of these labs, you'd have to go move to San Francisco, like you'd have to go accepted to like OpenAI or Anthropic or whatever, and that's very difficult, right? There's barriers. Like crypto's fully open, so you can just like look at SP1's GitHub repo and understand the state of the art in zk, and I think that's something unique and really empowering and awesome. That yeah. All the resources are open for anyone, and you can just be someone who's motivated and curious and learn all the stuff that you want to learn.
Awesome. And also you went through a pivot as well. And I think for founder, I mean, for a startup, pivot is hard, right? And any advice regarding that as well? Any lessons learned? Anything that you would, want to recommend?
Yeah, I think when founding a company is always just really hard because it's a lot of work, there's a lot of uncertainty, and then to navigate everything strategically, is always challenging because there's no like right or wrong answer, and there's no like oracle telling you what you should do at any step. It's kind of up to you. But that's also, I guess, what makes it really exciting is that you can do anything and you can just decide to like, hey, I think the thing we're building right now doesn't solve a real problem, so let's like solve something else. I think for us, like the pivot was in many ways very natural because we were building this zk application, zk bridging. We realized zk was really, really hard, which made it really hard for us to build the applications in a sustainable way. So we decided to solve that problem. And I think often for a lot of great companies, actually, like they work on an initial thing, they discover and learn lessons from that and learn that there's like some problem, and then they go solve it. So there's like a lot of examples of this. So I think like it's actually a pretty common story. I think it takes like a lot of courage to kind of change the direction of the company. But ultimately, like your job as the founder is to do whatever it takes to be the most successful for you and your team and like the product you're building. And so like your job is to make those hard decisions. And so I think it's always important to be able to do that. And really, I don't think at the end of the day, it's not that hard of a decision because if you're solving a problem you care about, then like you should have conviction, and that is like ultimately what's most important.
Awesome advice, thank you. Lastly, but not least, since it's your first time in Korea, you have an entire week ahead. Share about what you're up to this week so people can find you during the week.
Well, yeah, Erica has very, very kindly been like basically the guide and like setting up everything and being an amazing host. So I'm going to Biddle Asia and also Eat Seoul, which Erica's involved in hosting both of those things. And then yeah, we're having, as I mentioned, there's like some people on the team who are Korean who are actually here right now. So meeting up with them and organizing some events with them as well.
There's ZK meetup as well
Oh yeah, there's a ZK meetup.
with Aztec and
Yeah, with Aztec, Zero, and
Radius. Yeah, but that's coming up as well. It's on the little side events, many side events. But yeah, very excited to have you here in Seoul, and thank you so much for your insight. 감사합니다.
Thank you.